Welcome to the fourth and the last part of the CSS Grid course. So here we will start with the centering. So as we have seen in the flex part also, we have justify item, align content, but in grid we have a lot more than flex box, like justify item, justify content, align content, justify self, and align self. And in grid, as you might have known, there is no direction, flex direction as in flex box. So justify item is always for row, and align means justify is always for row, and align is always for column, top to down. So let's get started. The first thing which we will, so this is my basic layout where I have around 40 items, and each one have itm class, and then item 1 to itm 1 to 40. And this is my basic setup which you all know, which we are using throughout the course. And so here we will write our main css for tai container, target the container as always. We don't need the body. I'll target the container, and then as always display grid. Let have a grid gap of 20 pixel, grid template columns of repeat, 10 columns will be there, and each one will be 1 alpha. So let have the each item have a background of white. Let me save it and let me show you how it looks. So it looks like this. Let me also start my Firefox developer edition console, and let me start this also. So we can see where each of them are. The lines are also there. So now we will use the first one, which is justify items start. Let me save it, let me refresh it. So as again it will go. So as you might see, start means this is the whole container, this, so it will come to the start. 2 will also come to the start, everything will come to the start. So start justify item start means this is the container, it will come to the start of that. So this means that much. So start, after that as usual you will see end. Again it is gone. Let me start it. See, it moved to the end. Similarly center, save it, refresh it, and if we see it, see it moved to the center. Now you might have guessed what is this stretch. Stretch, save it, refresh it. See, it is stretched throughout, and you might have noticed if you don't give a stretch, it also stretches throughout. This is because that is by default, everything is, see, let me remove it as it was earlier, save it, refresh it. So by default it is stretched only. Next we will see align items, and for align items the basic thing extra which we will have, will have this thing, grid template row. It will repeat 5 rows will be there, each of 100 pixel. So we want to give it a height because align items is for height, and justify items we're taking it to the end. So let us start align items as usual. Start, save it, refresh it, and let me show. See, this is align items start, because align items is along this. So justify item is pushing it to the end, but align items is to the this start, because align items is from top to down. So start will start here, then and save it, refresh it, and it moves to the end of the container. As usual, center, save it, refresh it. Now as usual, center is moved here, then stretch, save it, refresh it. So stretch is like this. So this is what align item is all about. So now we will look into the two other property, which is justify content and align content. So both of these properties are used when our total size of the grid is less than grid content. It is better to understand it with example. So to understand this, we need to have one more property, because we need to know the grid, what is the total size of the grid container. 10px solid black, we are having a border, and repeat. Yeah, this will be like this. Actually we want both of this. Let us have both of this. So if you have both of this, and if you refresh it, as you might have suspected, this will contain the whole thing. Let us have some less also. So it will be, let me have in here, save it, refresh it. It is not 1FR, let it be 100px. So the basic setup was also wrong. So it is 500px, 100px. That will be like this. Then let start from the start again. Yeah, so this, because justify content is from left to right, if I give a start, it will come here, start, in the start. As you will see the end, save it, refresh it. Yeah, it will come to this end, as you might have got center, center will bring it to the center, and there are, as usual, is stretch, stretch, refresh it, it is suddenly slow. So actually there are three more properties are there. One is space around, one is space between, and one is space evenly. So did it refreshed? Oh, some error in Codepen. Okay, so stretch is by default like this only. So then after that, space around, as I was telling, space around, let me save it, refresh it. So you will see space around means it everything will be spaced, but the first and the last one will have just a little space between them, and but everything will be spaced equally. And then the next one is between and see, between means everything the space is equal and there is no space here. This is between the, and the last one is evenly. Save it, refresh it, and see, even this space and this space is equal. So this is what is meant by evenly. So the next thing which we will see is align content. So for align content, let me have some more changes between we'll have a height of 500 pixel. We'll have grid template column, but we won't have any grid template row because we are giving the height, and this one will be stressed, this one will be stressed. We save it and let me refresh it. So by default it will be like this. So now let's start with align content. Line start, save it, refresh it. Yeah, let me again inspect element container. Yeah, this is how the align content start will bring everything to the start. Similarly, and let me refresh it, and now everything will move to the end. Then after that, as usual, center, refresh, and everything will move to the center. Stretch, save it, refresh it. So everything will be stretched, and it will stretch to the complete container. And now, as usual, the three other space between, let me save it, space between, refresh it. As usual, the space between is like this, space around, save it, refresh it. So this is the space around, and the last one is space evenly. Save it, refresh it. So this is like this, evenly the space is there, this space and this space is equal. So after this we will check the justify self property. So justify self, as with flexbox also, that self property is always for individual item. So again we need to do a bit of change here. Stress space between, let it also be space between item background 8 and item 8th one. Let's target the 8th one. Background, let the background be yellow, and justify self start. And now if I refresh it, let me start my and see, this is the 8th one and it have come to the start. And refresh. I think I did something wrong, because it should not be like this. It is coming like this. I don't know why it is going like this. Okay, let's move forward this way. In the next one is center. Save it, refresh it. As you might have noticed, center means this is come to the center, and the last one is stretch. Let me save it. Refresh it. Hopefully this time, yeah, stretch, as always it will be complete. So now the last thing we will see, it is align self. Align self, as usual, it will be from top to down, because align is from top to down. So for that, let us again modify this a bit. So grid template column, this one all is good, but we need to have grid template rows. Let me have one FR 300 pixel, one FR. So the third row is of 300 pixel. Let me save it. Let me refresh it. See, the third row is of 300 pixels, so this is a bit more. So we will target something here only, which is this item 14. So let us target that. Item 14. Background tomato. Align self, let it be start. Save it, refresh it, and this is start. As you might have things, align self, it will start from here. Then as usual, and refresh it, and it will come to the end. As you might have not already guessed, center. Did I save it? Yeah, I saved it. Refresh. It will come here, and as usual, stretch. Save it, refresh it, it will come here. So this complete our alignment things. So the next thing which we will do is quickly we will do a layout, image layout with Css Grid. So for that I have a different Codepen. So this is my Codepen where I have a main album class which is wrapping everything, and then after that, to make it a big now, after that I have different div albums are there, all these albums are there, in which what I have a image from Unsplash, random image 300 by 300, then another album title div is there, in which I have title, artist, description. So this is what I have, and this is my basic setup. So after that, this is what is coming. So because I have not given anything else, this is what is coming. So let's get started, and first we'll target this, and you'll see how easy we are going to build this. We're building an image gallery. So albums, display grid, template, columns, repeat. We are using the repeat thing with auto fit, which we have already learned in part 2, auto fit. So this is one of the way to make everything responsive. Min max 300 pixel or 1 FR, so each one will be 300 pixel or 1 FR, and auto fit. So auto fit, it will try to fit it for 300 pixel or 1 FR, and grid cap of 5 pixel. Let me save it, and let me refresh it, and 90% of our work is already done because everything is there, and see, it is fully responsive. Minimum it is less than 300 pixel, 1 FR full row, and it is our fully responsive thing. With just that much line we have got it. So no, but this all are not looking good. So the next things is that we will target this now. The album we will target, because we want to give a little bit of background to that. Background, we'll give a little bit of background. RGBA 255 255.2. Let's give a bit of box shadow also. 0.05 px. RGBA 0.1, and padding is 20 px. Let me save it, refresh it. Did it saved? Yeah, it got saved. it is again slow. Yeah, but I got it. Then what we're going to do, again this album, see this album have some items. One item is this image, and the second item, items are always, grid items are always the immediate children. So this is the first item and this is the second item. So what we can do, we can make this also grid, because see, it is overlapping, it is going outside. So we need to make that also grid. So let us do it. Display grid template columns, (150 px) and 1fr, and grid cap of 10 px. Let me save it and let me refresh it. So it is not fixed because we have to make this album artwork class. I'll show dot album artwork. We will make the width as 100%. So 100% of this 150 px. So now you will see what will happen. So 100% of 100% of 150 px. So it will be this 100%, and then this one will be 1fr. So the rest of the space it will take. So let us move forward. I am not liking one thing here because it is breaking the thing. So let me do one thing. Let me remove this, because see, it is breaking. It is, sometimes you have to do these things. So let me save it and refresh it. See, now everything is fine. So these things we have to keep in mind in web development. See, all the descriptions should be equal, or it generally breaks thing. So now the last thing we want to do is a bit of vertical alignment of the album class. So let us do that. As we have learned, it can be done by the align items, and we want to move it to the center because we're doing from top to down. Let me save it, let me refresh it, and see, this one was short, so it has moved here. Center will be formed, and this will be moved there. So, and now our image gallery is completed, or center, or maybe we can move it to, because I'm not liking it, start. Let me refresh it. Even if it is short, it should be to the start, so it is much better. So it is fully responsive, or image layout. So it is complete. So you can see how Grid is powerful. With just this much line of code, we were able to create a photo gallery, fully responsive photo gallery, image gallery in no time. So this completes our whole of Grid course. Hope you like the series. Please subscribe to my channel for more video series like this. Thank you.